The cold that night wasn't just cruel, it was merciless, the kind that wraps around your bones and makes you feel like the darkness itself is alive, hungry, and waiting. Snowflakes drifted like silent ghosts across the empty street as city lights flickered in the distance, blurred by tears of wind and sorrow. Most people had long since disappeared indoors, hiding from the storm behind walls and warmth. But beneath a flickering street lamp, half covered in snow and trembling from the cold, was a little girl, no more than 7, hugging her knees to her chest, barefoot, her thin dress clinging to her tiny frame like a wet paper bag. She was alone. Forgotten. On the verge of something no child should ever face. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unseen beauty of the human spirit, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Rapple of Hope. Your support helps us keep telling real, emotional stories that matter. Across the street, a man was watching. His name was Darnell Hayes. Mid-40s, rugged, strong, tall with shoulders that told stories of struggle and hands calloused from years of hard work. Life hadn't been easy for him. A former construction worker, once a proud father and husband, Darnell had lost everything, his job, his home, and eventually, his family, when a devastating workplace accident left him with permanent nerve damage in his right leg. He had walked with a limp ever since, not just in body, but in spirit too. Now he lived from shelter to shelter, sometimes sleeping in alleyways, sometimes beneath overpasses, always carrying a faded photograph of his daughter who had died 5 years ago in a car accident. Her name had been Lila. She would have been the same age as the girl across the street. Darnell didn't know why his feet began to move before his mind did, but they did. Limping against the icy wind, he crossed the road, his old boots crunching the snow like broken glass. As he approached the girl, he could see her shivering, lips blue, face pale, eyes wide with fear. She didn't speak. She only looked up at him like a deer caught in the headlights of fate. Darnell hesitated for just a breath, then, without a word, he unzipped the only thing standing between him and the cold, a heavy, army green winter coat he'd picked up at a shelter a few weeks ago. It wasn't much, but it was warm. He knelt, gently wrapped it around her, and pulled the hood over her tiny head. The coat swallowed her whole. And for the first time in what felt like forever, the girl whispered one word. Warm. Darnell sat down beside her, letting the cold sting him where the coat used to cover. He didn't ask her name, didn't question where she came from or why she was alone. Some wounds don't need words, just presence. And in that moment, on that street corner, in the middle of a frozen city, something unseen passed between them. An understanding. A connection. A whisper of hope. Eventually, a police cruiser rolled by. The officer, startled to find 2 people huddled together in the snow, pulled over. Within minutes, they were being checked for frostbite and taken to the nearest shelter. The girl didn't let go of Darnell's hand the entire ride. Her name, they learned, was Emma. She had run away from an abusive foster home 3 days ago. No one had reported her missing. No one had cared. Over the following days, as Emma began to recover, Darnell refused to leave the shelter, not because he was afraid, but because Emma clung to him like the world was ending. He sang lullabies to her in the dark, helped her eat again, and told her stories about stars, heroes, and how even broken wings can fly. The social worker who was assigned to Emma's case noticed something extraordinary. When she was with Darnell, she smiled. She laughed. She began to heal. And slowly, so did he. When Child Services suggested Darnell become Emma's legal guardian, he laughed at first, bitterly. "I'm a homeless man with no job and a limp," he said. "What could I possibly offer her?" But the worker, an older woman named Teresa, looked him square in the eyes and said, "You gave her something no one else did. A coat. A moment. A chance. That's more than most." With the help of Teresa and a local church, Darnell found a small job working as a night custodian. His limp made it hard, but he pushed through. Every paycheck went to making sure Emma had food, school supplies, and warmth. They moved into a small 1-bedroom apartment, bare, old, but filled with laughter and something neither had known in a long time, family. Years passed. Emma grew into a young woman, fierce, bright, determined to help others like her. Darnell grew too, into something he never thought he'd become again, hopeful. On the day Emma graduated from high school, she stood on stage and told a story to her class. Not one about grades or goals, but about a man with a limp and a warm coat, who gave her life back to her on the coldest night she'd ever known. That story went viral. Someone in the audience had recorded it. News outlets picked it up. People were moved, inspired. Donations poured in. Darnell was offered a full-time job at a community center mentoring kids from broken homes. Emma received a scholarship to study social work. Together, they began a nonprofit called Second Warmth, dedicated to helping runaway and homeless children find shelter, love, and, most of all, a chance. Their story wasn't perfect. There were still scars, still nights of doubt, and tears over memories that wouldn't let go. But every time it snowed, Emma would wrap herself in that old green coat, still too big, and smile. Because she knew what it meant. Not just warmth, but love in its purest form. The kind you don't find. The kind that finds you. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Rapple of Hope. We tell stories that matter, real stories that remind us of the power of compassion, no matter who you are or where you come from. Leave a comment below if you believe in second chances and the kind of love that changes lives.